Just before I went live, I got this text from a very, very close homie. Y'all would definitely know him from the RBE side. I'm not going to say his name. My mom's friend's son, they live in Chicago, was just subpoenaed by the feds in connection to that Lil Durk case. I can't say what that part says, but it says what his affiliation with Durk is. I ain't going to say that live. Wow, I'm finna call him as soon as I get off the stream. That just shows that outside of the people that were indicted and arrested along with Lil Durk, they're already going into affiliates and they're getting these subpoenas in, bringing people in for questioning and getting their statements on record and whatnot. Wow.
Chris Brown in association with a Diddy party. Let's take a look at what they're saying. And y'all see the thumbnail. Is this true or is this cap?
Jane Doe says that she stepped onto this luxury vessel and that essentially she was walking into a trap. As the champagne flowed and music pulsed, Brown allegedly handed her drink after drink. She said, quote, "I don't remember if I saw him pour it, but I just drank it, and he just hands me another drink." She says in the documentary, "As I'm standing there, I did start to feel kind of tired and my body was feeling a little heavy." And that is when Brown allegedly led her to a bedroom on the yacht, sprawled out on the bed, and then climbed up on top of her. And literally through tears, she says on the documentary how she couldn't move. And that is when she says Chris Brown assaulted her. The details are...
Oh, hold on. Let's stop there for a second. So the reason why that gets legs out in the public and on the internet is because these Diddy parties and the drinks that's been going around. What have they been pretty much painting a picture of? That these Diddy parties is damn near, you got to drink or go home. You walk through the front doors. Here you go, drink up. Here you go, drink up. Here you go. Yep, get that in you, right? And then we saw the accusations of like the trank, like horse tranquilizer and all this type of stuff that would make people compliant and or submissive and stay still. All scary shit. We spoke about that as well. That stuff is definitely true out there. There's all types of drugs, where you can give them to people. They come in drinkable form, stuff that can absorb through your skin, all different types of stuff we got to be careful of. That'll have your ass sitting there in some Get Out Twilight Zone, some parallel universe. You'll be sitting there just staring up at the stars, not wondering where you are, not realizing what's going on, paralyzed. Last night, dark shades and Advil type of shit. Don't know what's going on. So very, very scary. That stuff happens in the world, okay? This woman is saying that she had a drink at the party and then was led upstairs, and that while she was laying on the bed, she couldn't even move as Chris Brown did this to her. The devil's advocate piece there is you had a drink. Let's take the drug stuff off the table. Devil's advocate thing is you got drunk and you had sex and you didn't know or you forgot. It happens. Or we could stick with the drug side and say we keep hearing these rumors. They're getting more and more allegations on this same type of shit. Maybe this happened to this woman and she was there and she didn't know what was going on. I guess the third devil's advocate example I could give is, Chris Brown didn't know either, right? He didn't know how much her body would have responded to the alcohol. Let's just say if it was a regular drink and he didn't know how drunk she was, or maybe if it was drugged allegedly and he didn't know that it was drugged. I mean, there's all these different variables. I just want to lay some of that stuff out on the table as we continue to play these details, because by the end of this video, we're going to say we believe it or we think it's cap, okay?
Stomach churning, but Doe describes feeling so disgusted as Brown allegedly kissed her and literally muffled her protests so she couldn't scream out. She essentially...
That's a very, very bad detail for the accuser to put on the table, that he muffled her. That I don't like to hear. You know what I'm saying? This is just details. This is all alleged. You could put a claim on anybody and say anything these days, right? But it's one thing to say, shorty, whether you did or you didn't know what was going on in the midst of it, because maybe you was a little drunk and or drugged, whichever side you want to stand on, right? The muffling is a different story. Like, at the end of the day, don't try to stop me from yelling or screaming as if, like, that's a whole different ball game. Like, nah, that detail, spooky. That loans to her credit. I don't like that
claims
being
that
in
she
the
was
paperwork.
powerless to stop the assault, that she was trapped in this drug-induced haze. And in a twisted turn, Jane Doe apparently, after this attack, stayed in contact with Brown, stayed in touch with him, desperately.
This is going to be a ping pong table. We're just going to go back and forth, back and forth. One point is going to go to Chris Brown's side, then a point is going to go to the accuser side, then a point is going to go to the accuser side, then a point is going to go back to Chris Brown's side. Why the hold on, big screen. If somebody does that to you, if you feel that you were drugged via a drink and you got to the point where you were paralyzed, you couldn't move, you were crying, you were stuck, you were being awed, and the only thing you had was possibly some vocal ability, and even when you tried to scream out, you were muffled. And when you finally got away from this nightmare, the day after, whatever the case may be, when you escaped one of the worst things, brutal situations you could ever be in your life, you stayed in touch with the person that did it. I'm getting tired of not seeing people run their ass straight to these cops or to these doctors. Instead of running to cops and doctors, I see people running either back to the so-called abusers or running to lawyers for civil suits. I don't like that. Point back on the other side. Let's continue.
Seeking what she says is clarity on what happened here. And she says it wasn't until later on through therapy that she
Hold on. You stayed in touch with Chris Brown to get clarity. Is the narration here just incorrect? Is it the lawsuit that's incorrect? Did the lawyer screw that up? Did she say that? How? Wait. I can testify, or I can make a statement, or I can accuse that I laid there paralyzed, couldn't move, couldn't defend myself, got to the point where I was being awed. I know that happened to me, and I couldn't even yell out because I was muffled, but I kept in touch with him so that I can try to figure out what happened. Those initial details is some monstrous shit. You're saying that's what happened. So you don't stay in touch with the accused after that to say, I just want to know how long I was awed. Like, what? Is that not a contradiction? Is that not weird as shit? You stayed in touch with him after to figure out what happened, but you're going on record stating that this man awed you while you were paralyzed and muffled you? Is that not night and day, like total opposite ends of the spectrum, contradictions? No, is that just me? That's a little weird. Who screwed that up?
clarity on what happened here. And she says it wasn't until later on through therapy that she claims she fully grasped the horror and the reality of what she says happened to her. By the way,
I don't like that neither. The reason why I don't like that is because if you're the accused, chat, if you're Chris Brown, God forbid, and I know my chat, none of y'all are ever gonna get on that type of shit, and I'm not even gonna say Chris Brown as if he really did this. We'll figure that out in a second. We'll have that opinion in a second. Allegedly, I know that there's nobody that would allegedly ever do something like this in the chat, but hypothetically, if you was in those shoes of being accused of this, chat, would you want your accuser to be convinced that they went through this via a fucking some mediator or some, not a mediator even, but you going through therapy with some psych analysis? Like I want the people that's there to play witness. I want the accused person. I want the person that hosted the party. I want the camera footage. I want whoever recorded anything like that. Just like the girl Thalia, how she went after Big Joe, Diddy security guard, and said, I want the person that allegedly seen the tape. Like, if I'm on the jury or if I'm the judge, if that's who you're bringing to the table with you as a witness, 6 months later, I went and I sought therapy, right? And the person that I went and sought therapy from helped me have these mental psychiatric revelations that this is what happened to me with Chris Brown. That's a credible source to you, a witness. You had to go and have somebody that has nothing to do with the situation at all help you psycho reveal this in your mind, let alone you already have the accusation that you were paralyzed, awed, muffled. So I just don't like this gray area shit. I don't like it. It's weird. We probably like 1 point to 3 at this point, right? What is it like? What's the score? Like 3-1, 4-1 in Chris's favor so far? It could take a drastic turn, right? We could just say, "Oh, wait a minute, timeout. No, Chris, you're going down for this. Hold on, let's finish this." But I'm still calling a spade where we see it.
As we're sorting through these legal issues surrounding Chris Brown, and yeah, they're quite disturbing allegations to say the least, I think it puts an emphasis on how important it is to understand the law. I mean, we talk about it all the time, knowing for the people. Now, by the way, we've seen this before in a lot of sexual abuse cases. I think most notably the Harvey Weinstein case. Why would you stay in contact with the person who sexually assaulted you? As we have learned through the years, there are a number of different reasons why that might happen. Sometimes people might not understand what happened to them. They might be in fear. There's a number of different reasons why that happens. They might have this attachment to their abuser. We're going to talk about whether or not she's credible.
And let me go back. Let me give a half point on her. Chat, let's try to rationalize the reasons why you would stay in touch with your accuser. Staying in touch with your accuser to try to understand what happened. I'll play the middle on that. Okay, I'll just play the middle. I mean, Dark Shades and Advil last night was rap mad real. Yo, what happened last night? That happens. I get it. You know what? I can give a point on that side. Fuck it. I could really, really understand that. Some people get so fucked up, so drunk. I don't even got to talk about getting drunk, but some people get so drunk. Like, I'm one of those drunks. Nothing can happen to me that you won't pay the price for tomorrow. Nothing. I can't be interrogated, and you can't pull some shit in my direction, and then I'm gonna be like, what happened? That luckily, that's everybody's body is different. Everybody reacts different to alcohol. You know, say New Year's night or crazy party night, or we celebrating heavy, or it's just up in the crib, whatever it is. If I get drunk, right, I might lose a little bit of my coordination, and it's like, damn, head's full down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it is what it is. But if you turn around and try to interrogate me, so like, yes, so tell me the secret passcode. Thinking he's drunk, I'm be like, you think you funny, don't you? Right? That's gonna be me. Or like, let's say physically, I'm just out of it, or whatever the case may be. I know if I fuck last night. Like, I'm sorry. Drunk or not, you know what I'm saying? Or if somebody try to put hands on me, try to punch me in the face, I would know, like, oh damn, like, why does my fucking cheek and my jaw hurt? Like, what the fuck happened last night? Oh, you fell. No, I'm the drunk that knows. You punched me in the fucking face. Like, I know. I know. I never got punched in the face when I was drunk and nothing like that, people. I'm just making up examples. But everybody's different. Everybody's different. Now, on the flip side, to be fair, I've been around people that they wake up the next day and they have no fucking clue. Did I tell this story before? I did tell this story before of a young lady that I was with. We had a great time out in the city, did Club Caroline's for a comedy show, drank all night, went crazy, drove over to Verrazano doing like $120 with the top down, like 3 o'clock in the morning, wilding, right? Got back to the crib. She threw up inside the car and everything like that. I didn't even take it down. She couldn't walk. She was done. Dragged in the crib. She had throw up all over her. I managed to get her in the tub to wash her up. I wasn't gonna put her in the bed with all the throw up and shit on her. I put her in the bed, washed her up. I mean, put her in the bed after I washed her up. In the morning, she woke up. Hair was different because it was wet from the shower. She had like a sore, like little spot or two on her leg, and she was just like, "Yo, what the fuck last night?" And I was just like, mad, like, you want to play now? We all this night, I spent all that money, I had such a great time, and we supposed to come home and really, really climax the night, cherry on top type shit, and you fucking ruined it because you couldn't handle your liquor. I was tight, and so the later I started believing her, like, you really? And I started showing her shit, like show her the car, show her the throw up spots and shit, show her the shower, like, yeah, that's why your hair's fucked up. Thank me. I washed your nasty ass the fuck up. She forgot a lot. She forgot a lot of shit. So it really, really does happen. Okay. Let's take that off the table. He said, staying close out of fear. I'm two-sided about that as well. Staying close to somebody that did something that heinous to you out of fear. Now, if they're threatening you, is that like keep your enemies close type of shit? Which has always been a weird concept, but I don't know if you stay close to somebody out of fear. I mean, 99.9% of the time, when you got the opportunity to get away from somebody that you fear, that's what happens. People don't necessarily purposefully, chase down people that they fear. They're not trying to call and get in touch with people that they fear. They want to actually create as much distance. Eh, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. What's some other reasons you would stay in touch with your accuser? Or somebody that did that to you? If you were trying to set them up and catch them red-handed, get some evidence about what happened, get some text messages about what happened, talk about it a little bit more, like, man, so that was wild last night, wasn't it? And see what they respond. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to take the comments in the chat on that one. You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know how y'all are as individuals. If somebody did something just next level to you that made you fearful of them, what circumstances would you still put yourself in contact or communication with those people? Y'all could answer that for me. I'm a little stuck on that one, but
in a minute, but just keep that in mind. Now, there may be some of you who have just heard this and say, why does this sound so familiar? Well, that is because Jane Doe had already filed a lawsuit against Chris Brown back in 2020. She sued him for $20 million. Now, not only did Chris Brown deny the allegations, but he fired back. He released.
Okay, quick point back on her side. This isn't some brand new, hey, I'm inspired by Diddy. Oh, Diddy's out. Diddy's name. If I could put in Diddy's name next to something, it was his party that this happened to me on. Or okay, this is check season 2024. It's up. Bet 2020 she filed something. All right, man. This it's on. We like this with the points on each side of this one. Let's see where this goes.
Text messages to prove that this sexual assault didn't happen. This included a nude selfie reportedly sent from Jane Doe to Chris Brown and a text from 2020. She sued him for $20 million. Now, not only did Chris Brown deny the allegations, but he fired back. He released text messages to prove that this sexual assault didn't happen. This included a nude selfie reportedly sent from Jane Doe to Chris Brown and a text from her to him writing, quote, "You were honestly the best bleep I've had, and I just want it again." He also apparently...
Is that case closed? And I do have a very serious question for y'all, and I hope y'all don't get offended. But before I get to that, is that case closed? If you go to lawyers or if you go to the police and you say, I argue, and if I come back and I show text messages of you sending me nude selfies or texting me saying, last night was amazing, best I ever had, I'm looking forward to the next time when we can do that again. Is that case closed? Especially if those text messages are dated after the night in question? That's not case closed? Okay, here's the question now. If you have consensual sex with somebody, ladies, this one's for y'all. Ladies, if you have consensual sex with a man, let's say you have consensual sex with a man and you're all for it. You're into him, you want to get up with him and do it again, and whatever the case may be, just like that example that was just said. Could there be a circumstance after that where, let's say you're too drunk, or even if you think you're drugged, and then he has sexual intercourse with you again, can that be determined as R because in that specific moment you wasn't ready and willing? Or do you feel like that That's just part of our dynamic because we already crossed that bridge consensually and already requested that we do it again. And then here we are. Just a hypothetical question. I want to know if in that situation that can be considered R or would be considered R by the ladies in the chat. Drop a comment.
Currently shared a voicemail allegedly left by the woman where the voice says, "I just want to see you again. Just let me know. If you want me to leave you alone, I will, but I really just wanna," and then a phrase indicating she wanted to have sexual intercourse.
People, I thought the case was already possibly closed. You got a voice joint too. You got a voice note as well from this girl. People, let's be real. When anybody, men and women, get to the point where they say, just let me know if you want me to leave you alone, all they're doing is testing the waters to see if they're coming off like a damn stalker or if they're coming off like they're being thirsty. Why? Because they're potentially being curved. If you got to get to the point where you send a man or a woman a voice note saying, just let me know if you want me to stop contacting you, or just let me know if you want me to leave you alone.
Course. Now, Brown ended up taking to social media at the time saying, "No more dragging me through the mud. Clearly, you can all see the blue cap emoji." That's blue cap meaning lying. He added, "Me and my team are taking legal action on this situation. You don't play with people's lives like that." However, Jane Doe, in a statement to People, said that none of the texts disproved the occurrence of the sexual assault. "I want people to realize that and stop shaming victims and or calling them liars just because they love an artist they don't even know." In the end, though, her legal team dropped her as a client. And this came after apparently the police department provided them with additional information. At the time, they said this information, quote, "precludes us from representing Jane Doe in the Chris Brown matter." And Jane Doe's lawsuit was actually thrown out for what the judge reportedly called a lack of prosecution, meaning there was no activity in the case for a while. And it was dismissed without prejudice, meaning it could be refiled. But having said that, Jane Doe did speak up in this documentary nonetheless.
Interesting. So I'm going to come to this comment that I pulled up on the screen in 1 second. So her legal counsel, her lawyer, dropped her, didn't want to proceed with the case. And the prosecution also dropped the case. Okay. Wesley says consent should be made clear every time. I disagree. I don't think that y'all could even take what I just said as a controversial statement. Okay. First of all, sexual encounters are rarely verbalized in that manner. Like, who does it that literal? How many times do you have a sexual encounter just based on a moment? Especially like that first time and shit, unless y'all already know what it is, the way that y'all texting and DMing and all that type of shit. Like, women will pull certain tricks and shit. Like, if they really trying to like hold out, they purposefully will like put on some bullshit underwear, undergarments and whatnot. It won't shave their legs and all that because they're like, no matter what, even if I get super turned on, I will not allow these pairs to come off because I know my legs is hairy as shit. Like, they've been doing little tricks on themselves like that. You know what I'm saying? But when you know you're ready to be with somebody, it just happens. And if you already in that type of, you know what I'm saying, lane with somebody, it's just whatever, whenever. Hey, come by. Even that type of shit, indirect. It's like you know what it is. You know what I mean? Like 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, stop by. It don't even gotta be 1 o'clock in the morning. It could be 9 a.m. Hey, stop by. Depending on what type of relationship it is, you know what it is. Right? So consensual to be made clear every time, that's not reality. That just doesn't happen in this world. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gets to that point, stops and says, wait, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? I mean, yeah, maybe there are those situations in the world, right? But if you have a partner and you have 100 sexual encounters with that specific partner, you think that you're gonna make it consensually made clear every 100 time y'all have sex? Fuck no. That's not reality. That's not the world. That's not human nature. That's not bonding. That's not how sexual encounters happen. That's not when we have certain. I haven't even said the word chemistry yet. Chemistry outside of like it is what it is. Like I know you want to fuck me, or I know I want to fuck you, or I know we want to fuck each other right now. It is what. There's no need to talk, right? The chemistry side of things too. That's a whole nother ball game. Fellas, you never just been sitting there and somebody jumped on you. Ladies, you never just been sitting there thinking that you was watching Netflix and you really thought it was Netflix and chilling, and all of a sudden that energy came. You was like, oh, okay, bet. You welcomed it. Chemistry, moments, signals, signs at that level. Consensual, every time I mean, made clear my ass. Hell no, Wesley, you tripping. I'm gonna tell you, the people that make sure that they're having consensual sex made clear every time they get undressed. You know what type of people those are? Those are the people that either A, they've been through some shit before and had an allegation on them or some shit like that. I'm not saying you, Wesley, but they didn't have something on their name before and it developed that level of paranoia. Or B, they never had nothing on them, but they just feel like I didn't seen the world, how it ticks. I see people get in trouble. My best friend, something happened to him. I'm seeing what happened to Diddy. Look at this Chris Brown shit, this boom, 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 boom. And it just gets so paranoid. Remember this skit with Chappelle where he was like, yo, we signing the sexual release papers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that type of shit happens with certain celebrities. You know what I mean? You sign an NDA, you sign a consent form, cell phones get checked at the door with the security guard. Okay, cool. These groupies that be chasing Drake and all these people behind the scenes, they might be signing. You never know. They might sign some shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, then again, I'm probably not because people be talking, run their mouth so much. But there's people that do that shit, all right? There's people that do that shit. NDAs, consent forms, understanding, stipulations. And those tend to, I think those tend to be rich people, wealthy people, powerful people that have so much to lose behind this sexual encounter, right? But that doesn't happen, man. Like, come on, we gotta be realistic. Fuck no.
And her attorney, Ariel Mitchell Kidd, who we've spoken about before here on Sidebar, she had represented Combs' accuser Adria English at one point in time. Well, Mitchell Kidd said, quote, my client was definitely assaulted and I believe her. She also told People magazine, I believe what happened to her is 100% true. I feel that I failed her as an attorney because I couldn't make her comfortable enough with me in such a short period of time where she felt 100% comfortable being forthcoming with me. So that makes me wonder, was there more information that wasn't shared to her attorney? Now, the thing about this alleged assault is, and I mentioned it before, Jane Doe claims that this happened on Combs' yacht, that he may have owned it, that he may have chartered it, not sure. But while a Sean Combs affiliated source reportedly told Page Six that these allegations have nothing to do with Diddy at all and have not alleged any wrongdoing against him, we cannot forget that the terms yacht, assault, and Combs, they have all been in the same sentence recently. Because while this alleged assault happened on this yacht back in December of 2020, we can't forget that a young woman named Grace O'Markey filed a separate lawsuit against Sean Combs and his son Christian Combs, where she says that Christian sexually assaulted her on a Combs chartered yacht back in December of 2022. So we're talking relatively similar allegations at a similar time frame, 2-year difference. And we've broken this lawsuit down before, but brief summary, O'Markey claims that when she was 25 years old, she worked as a steward on Combs' yacht. And one night, Christian comes aboard. He starts kissing her. He starts groping her. That this was allegedly witnessed by another Combs accuser, Rodney Lil Rod Jones. And then she says later on in the night, Christian trapped her in the cinema room of the yacht, took off all of his clothes, and tried to force her to perform oral sex on him. So
now I never followed Christian Combs. He comes off like a safari to me a little bit, like a little lame or whatever. But I could be wrong because, like I said, I don't follow him. But the times I have seen him, but he seems to be the most out there-ish of Diddy's kids. I guess that's the way to say it. I've heard things about him before, accusations and whatnot. How sad would it be if this fucking kid ends up with like some wild accusations and or not just accusations, they've been on him already. I should say charges. How sad would that be? Talk about the chip off the old block. I mean, they even say that Diddy learned his behavior from people before him, right? That would be sad as shit, but take care of yourself, young man.
She not only sues Christian for claims like assault and battery, but she ends up suing Sean Combs for aiding and abetting and having premises liability because this attack happened essentially on his property. And by law, he would have a duty to keep her safe. We believe this lawsuit is still ongoing, by the way. So now we're looking at these claims a little bit differently because now this is not the first time that we've heard about an alleged assault on a Sean Combs property. But let's go back to Chris Brown for a second. As you can see in the title of this documentary, Chris Brown, A History of Violence, it focuses upon not just this alleged encounter, but all of the other troubles that Brown has faced and the multiple accusations of domestic violence and sexual assault and violence that he has faced over the past.
See, that's the thing. Chris Brown kind of got like that. You see how like Rihanna, the bad girl Riri shit? Chris Brown got the bad boy image. You know what I'm saying? Then he had like a bottle fight or some shit like that in the club with Drake, and we all seen the pictures about him putting hands on Rihanna. See, that's the thing about when the evidence comes out. Diddy was out here saying, "Oh, these claims is disgusting. I can't believe it's on my boom." And that video came out in the hallway with Cass, and it was just like whole different ball game, dude. We have a whole new image of you. We done with you. When that video dropped, you can't stand next to Diddy anymore. Him, none of his friends publicly, you can't stand next to him anymore. Chris Brown kind of has the bad boy reputation too, but I think it's been more like physical shit, like physical violence. I said on stream before too, I was just like, yo, Chris Brown gonna fuck around and drag one of y'all for playing with him. His little athletic backflipping playing basketball ass. But he's got a history that's keeps getting documented or accused of physical shit. Fighting, fussing, brawling, putting his hands on Rihanna, putting his hands on. So I think that right there puts him in a bad spot. Definitely puts him in a bad spot because, you know, when you got a history of something, the R thing or whatever, and these accusations of this, what this girl said earlier in this video, we'll close out with that. But as far as him putting hands on people, ooh, we can't just play naive to that. You got a history, young man.
Past several years. And if you recall, what are we talking about? He physically assaulted R&B singer Rihanna back in 2009.
We just said it. We just said it.
Graphic photos were released for the world to see of her injuries, and he ended up pleading guilty to assault, received probation, received community service. Brown's ex-girlfriend, Karrueche Tran, obtained a restraining order against him after she says he punched her, threw her down a flight of stairs, threatened to kill her. Another accuser featured in the documentary claims that Chris Brown assaulted her in Las Vegas, which resulted in her receiving a black eye. She ended up suing him, settled the case. Brown was arrested in Paris several years back for alleged rape, but the investigation was dropped. And now Brown's legal team has come forward, and they have called the allegations in this documentary malicious and false. But of course, the larger picture becomes not only what will come of such a documentary, that's of course, but could Chris Brown play a role in Sean Combs' prosecution? Has he been interviewed by federal prosecutors? Does he know anything? Has he come under their radar at all? I would say based purely on the accusations and the former cases against Brown, that wouldn't necessarily make him an accomplice or co-conspirator in the racketeering and sex trafficking case against Sean Combs, because first of all, a lot of these allegations have previously been litigated, or they would be more likely the focus of state charges, but also nothing to suggest that Brown is part of what Combs is accused of. There's no evidence that has surfaced as of yet that Chris Brown was a part of these freak-off encounters that are central to Combs' criminal case, the coerced, drug-fueled sexual trysts involving.
Well, I ain't trying to create new sub-definitions of a freak-off. I don't know. What do y'all think when y'all hear the term freak-off as it associates to Diddy? Y'all think orgies and shit like that? Like, no, technically this is an accusation about freak-off because they're saying that this happened at a Diddy's party and it happened with the same type of, you know, calling card of drink, paralyzed, can't move, horse tranquilizer or whatever, and then you get hard, right? So technically it's in that realm. It's in the same realm. It's the same shit. And it's happening at Diddy's yacht, allegedly, from what this accuser said in the new documentary towards Chris Brown. So I feel like if that person was bringing legs to that situation that she's putting on Chris Brown's jacket, then why wouldn't it be attached to something that the prosecution would use against Diddy? Saying that, look, you got all these different accusations, people saying that Chris Brown did it, saying that this person did it, saying that this person did it at the party, at Diddy's party as well, saying that his son did it, whatever. And these are all these different, it's just hard to fight all that smoke. You know the term, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's not easy to fight that when you paint this picture of Diddy sitting up there in court as somebody that just for 20 plus years just fucked people over, pun intended. Right? Wild shit. Now, as it pertains to this video and Chris Brown, y'all see the thumbnail. Cap or is it true? Is Chris Brown guilty of this particular accusation that just came out of the documentary? I'm going to call cap. And I did give a bunch of points to the accuser side. I'm not a victim blamer, people. Right? I try to be open-minded as possible. But the reason why I got to go on the cap side of things confidently is because they're saying after the alleged situation, one, you stayed in touch with him. I don't like that. We can still justify it, so I won't put too much weight on that. But you're sending him nude pictures after that. You're sending him voice notes after that saying, you was the best I ever had sexually. Right? And when can we get together and do it again? And then on top of that, you then send a voicemail or voice note saying, let me know if I'm bothering you, if you don't want to talk to me anymore. Like you're trying to check yourself for stalking the man. So I mean, come on. If you're on the jury, people, and the accused person comes to the table and says, they said I did what? Yo, listen to this voice note. Yo, read this text message. Look at this screenshot of what this person was texting me a month later about, like, you was the best I ever had. Can we please link up again? How do you convict that person after reading that? If that evidence is put on the table, let alone when this was filed in 2020, the prosecution said, we good on this. And the lawyers that represented this girl dropped her as well. Said, we're not representing this. So when you put that together, if that came in today, if that came into Diddy's case, if the feds picked that up and wanted to indict Chris Brown behind this today in 2024, if you're on that jury for Chris Brown, do you, with those details right there, unless more stuff comes out, of course, a lot more stuff can come out. But what we have right here, can you come out of deliberation as a juror and say guilty? At least there's a little bit of cause of doubt there, in which you can't convict, right? We got to call cap on this one. Sorry. We got to call cap on this one. All right. I said that we were going to follow up on this when the documentary dropped. I'm going to keep my eyes on this Chris Brown joint to see if more comes about. He's got a bad reputation. He needs to stay out of trouble. You know, I would say if somebody comes out and puts an allegation on Chris Brown saying like, yo, he punched me in the face, that's going to be a little bit harder to dismiss. But the situation that this young woman laid out and then the post-R details, nah, we cool on that one, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it fair around here. And if things come out that's different from this, we'll change our opinions. We're not married to this position, but what we got in front of us right here, sorry, it's true, man. This one is cap.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss, making decisions my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry It's True podcast. Welcome to the house of... And shout out to the members.